Now I'm appearing for next 80 questions out of my 180 questions. 100 I have applied, which I have posted in my another video, and this is the part 2 of that video. uh, Halfway through an IT system upgrade project, a primary client representative frequently suggests significant modification to the original specification. Upgrade project, a preliminary primary client representative frequently suggests significant modification. Okay. To manage this effectively, which three measures should the project manager implement? Conduct a cost benefit analysis for each suggested modification to present to stakeholders. Discuss the consequences of these adjustments in the next project date planning. Amend the project scope document to include every new suggestion. Implement a change control process to evaluate and decide on the feasibility of each suggestion, and arrange a strategic alignment meeting with the client. I think these three obviously: conduct a cost benefit, implement a change control process, and a strategic alignment meeting. Halfway through a network infrastructure project, the project manager discovers that a critical configuration manual provided by a third party cybersecurity firm is incomplete, which could result in project delays. One provided by a third party. Okay, there is a problem with the vendor, right? To prevent further disruptions and ensure a smooth integration process, what action should the project manager take? Request the third party to provide a revised and detailed version of the manual immediately, setting the clear deadline. Assign a team member to rewrite the manual based on their integration. No, conduct a joint workshop with the third party and project team to collaboratively address the gaps in the manual and pause the project. So, conducting a joint workshop. As a company moves toward adopting agile methodologies, the project manager notes increasing tension between the Scrum team and the project owner due to discrepancies in sprint deliverables versus expectations. The team expresses concern over the feasibility of the product owner's demand within the agreed sprint. As when toward adopting agile, project manager notes increasing tension between Scrum and the product owner due to disagreements, sprint development versus expectation. Expresses concern over the feasibility of the product owner's demand within the agreed sprints. What strategy should the project manager do? Facilitate a backlog refinement session to clarify and prioritize the task and shift alignments between the product owner expectation and the team's capacity. Extend the sprint duration from 2 weeks to 3. No. Encourage the team to increase their workload temporarily to meet the product owner's expectation. Schedule regular one-on-one meetings with the product owner and individual team member to address the specific concern directly. I think there is a problem with the deliverable versus expectation. So, if we conduct a refinement session to clarify and reprioritize the task, ensuring alignment within product owner team's capacity, I think this feels like a good option for an upcoming initiative aimed at enhancing educational resources in underprivileged areas. A project manager must articulate the financial viability of the project to a board of trustees at a charitable organization. Which financial indicators should the project manager highlight to best convey the project fiscal benefits, financial benefits? Estimated cost to complete. Estimated cost to complete, time to profitability, cost benefit analysis, return on investment. I think it is ROI or it is ECTC. Cost to complete, like financial, fiscal benefits, financial benefits. What does that even mean? Uh, Cost benefit analysis, like how much we are spending and what benefit we are getting out of it. Estimated cost to complete is like how much we are spending, how like at the completion how much money we need like to complete the particular project. Return on investment is like if we have invested x money, after how many years will we get the return on our investment. So I know the meaning of these definitions, but I don't understand like what is this question. Which financial indicator should highlight to best convey the project fiscal benefits, financial benefits. So it should be then return on investment, I guess. During a critical phase of an environmental research project, a project member informs the project manager that they are uncertain if the data they are analyzing is the most current. A team member informed the project manager that they are uncertain if the data that they are analyzing most current. Having received it via email from a colleague a week prior, they recount a past incident where extensive work was done on outdated data, causing delays in report. To avoid similar issues moving forward, what should the project manager take? To avoid similar issues moving forward, require all data to occur via email with explicit timestamp for tracking update. Implement a centralized version control data repository to ensure all team member access the dedicated and failure reduced. I think centralize. As a critical deadline approaches, the agile project team is under pressure to work extra hours, causing visible signs of strain and decreased morale. The project manager seeks to uplift and energize the team to ensure project success. What strategy should the project manager employ to boost team morale and offer monetary rewards combined with personal acknowledgement of team members' effort to reinforce their value and commitment? Organize a team building activity to provide a break from work and foster strong relationships. Reprioritize tasks and adjust deadlines where possible to reduce workload and elevate pressure. Implement a rotational schedule to allow team members to rest while maintaining. I think this rewarding boosts morale and morale of the team, I guess. Rotational schedule is not reprioritized tasks, offer a team building activity to provide a break. I think the first one. Halfway through the IT project, for a financial institution, it becomes evident that initial project assumptions regarding system compatibility are incorrect. Questioning the project success and strategic objective. What should the project manager do? Okay, assumptions is not right. Pause all the project until the assumptions can be fully analyzed and corrected. Conduct a thorough impact analysis to assess how the incorrect assumption affect the project scope, timeline, budget, and stakeholders. Okay, proceed with project as planned while seeking expert advice. No, immediately escalate the issue to the sponsor and request additional resources to address. I think first of all we need to do the impact analysis, like how it is affecting, and pausing the project is also an option here, I guess. Since our assumption is incorrect. First and second, pause all project activities until the assumptions can be fully analyzed and corrected. Uh, let's go with the impact analysis. For an upcoming infrastructure upgrade project, the project manager learned that the preferred local technology vendors are temporarily closed due to unforeseen economic constraints. Viable alternatives are accessible from international markets. For an upcoming infrastructure upgrade project, The project manager learns that the preferred local technology vendors are temporary. That the preferred local technology vendors are temporarily gone due to unforeseen economic constraints. Viable alternatives are accessible from international markets. What action should the project manager undertake to ensure the project manager initiate a negotiation with international vendors to determine the necessary deadline and to delay the project timeline, involve the stakeholder in order to proceed with and reduce the scope of the project deadline. I think we should involve the stakeholders in deciding the very same thing. On a large scale renewable energy project involving multiple contractors, a critical equipment supplier indicates a significant delay. A critical equipment significantly potentially derailing the intended task of the contractors of other contractors. Okay, what should the project manager do? Adjust the project timeline to accommodate the delay and communicate the changes to all contractors. Escalate the issue to senior management. Source an alternative supply immediately to replace the delayed equipment and maintain the schedule. Convene a meeting with all factories to assess the impact and coordinate adjustment to their schedules. In managing a critical infrastructure upgrade project that intersects with several other key initiatives across the organization, the project manager identifies a range of external dependencies that could pose significant risk to the project timeline and success. To effectively mitigate these risks associated with these external dependencies, what action should the project manager develop a detailed risk register specifically focused on external dependency and create mitigation strategies for each identified. Assign project resources to internal tasks to reduce reliance on external dependencies. Postpone the project timeline until all external dependencies are guaranteed to be addressed. Request additional oversight from senior. I think we should create mitigation strategies, formulate. With the initial release of a new customer relationship management system imminent, the project's ongoing support will transition to the organization's technical support. The project's ongoing support will transition to the organized technical support team. To guarantee effective post-launch assistance protection, should the project manager provide schedule a regular check-ins with the technical team post-launch to address any challenges, prepare a detailed knowledge base with step-by-step guides and assign it to the technical support team for self-learning. Provide comprehensive training session to the technical support team focusing on the CRM system features and troubleshooting procedures, and delay the release until the technical soon to demonstrate the full professional management. Okay, I think this regular check, because if in case something has been executed, we need to check the for a mixed methodology project involving the development of a new financial software system, an executive requests substantial modification to a core feature. Substantial modification to a core feature after a project milestone presentation. The changes suggested would likely extend the project's scope and delay its delivery schedule due to the need for significant architectural adjustment. What should the project manager do next? Immediately implement? No. Organizing a team brainstorming session to explore creative ways? No. Escalate the request? No. Conduct a thorough impact analysis? Recently appointed to oversee a cutting edge software development project, a project manager discovers that the initiative cutting edge software project discovers that the initiative was initially planned to follow waterfall methodology, aiming for aiming for a grand unveiling to stakeholder upon completion, scheduled for 9 months hence. However, the project nature suggests an agile approach might be more appropriate. What is the most effective step the project manager should take to realign the project with agile mode? Switch, collaborate with him to assess project objectives, secure the buy-in for transition, create a hybrid program that integrate agile within their existing, maintain the current timeline, reassign the project to a new team with agile experience. In taking charge of a project midway, a project manager identifies that delays are often caused by confusion from a stakeholder who was not included in the original communication plan. This oversight has led to misunderstanding and halted progress of the action should the project manager take to facilitate the smoother project execution. Revise the communication management plan to include the stakeholders specifying the role and information they need to stay aligned. Have the stakeholder to explain their role in the project, establish a streamlined process, their updates and decision. Stakeholders are communicated directly by the project manager, introduce a periodic workshop to improve collaboration and ensure stakeholders in the previously excluded one are fully informed. I think we should revise the communication management plan. While developing a comprehensive digital asset management system for a client, a key project team member who specializes in user interface design is frequently interrupted by a client staff seeking advice on using the system. These interruptions are significantly affecting their productivity. Okay. What is the most effective measure to the agile project manager should take to address it? Designate a separate team member to act as a point of contact. Schedule a dedicated time block during which the team members are able to address. Limit all client communication to email and ensure responses are managed. Provide the client staff with training session to improve their familiarity with the system and reduce dependency on the training, obviously. Upon receiving a query from a stakeholder regarding potential enhancement to project outcomes for increased business impact, what should the project manager prioritize? Formulate a comprehensive agreement. Conduct a stakeholder workshop to collaboratively explore enhancement project and assess the feasibility. Propose immediate changes to project. No. Perform an impact analysis of the requested enhancement and project scope. But before presenting options, escalate the query to senior management to seek additional guidance. No, I think we should talk with the stakeholder first to explore the opportunities, obviously, rather than performing the impact analysis because we don't know what is the enhancements. During a hybrid project combining agile and traditional management approaches, the project manager notices rising tension among team members due to conflicting expectations and workflows. Expectations and workflows, okay. What leadership style should the project manager adopt to foster collaboration? Conflicts are happening, okay. Participative actively involve team members from both approaches and decision making to align workload. Command and control establish strict processes for all team to follow, ensuring uniformity as well. Transformational inspire the team by focusing on the overall vision. Transform. A autocratic unilateral design and workflow and expectation to avoid caused by disagree. Autocratic. No. I think transformational. Yes. One vision. At the outset of a project focused on developing an innovative mobile application, there is a noticeable divide between stakeholders on the desired functionalities and overall objectives of the app. The outset of a project focused on developing an innovative mobile application, there is a noticeable divide between stakeholders on the desired functionalities and overall objectives of the app. Stakeholder application. What initial action should the project manager take to mitigate the conduct individual interview case driven to understand the perspectives and facilitate a stakeholders workshop to collaborate and define and align the project. Draft a preliminary advisors from submit written proposal. I think workshop should be stakeholders. Obviously, if we do an individual interview, it will be a time-taking task. So rather, we could use a stakeholder workshop. Observing a notice. Oh God, I'm just not able to focus. It's very boring to go through all these questions. Oh my God. Observing a notable drop in the output and enthusiasm of an essential team member who has historically excelled, excelled in their project contributions, the project manager considers various strategies to reinvigorate this individual process performance and morale. What should the project manager do first to address this situation? Schedule a one-on-one meeting with the member to understand their concern and offer support, obviously. While spearheading an initiative to enhance a company's digital infrastructure on a global scale, a project manager confronts varying demands from stakeholders regarding the project specification. These differing viewpoints are making the definition of project requirement particularly challenging. What should the project manager undertake to reconcile this conflicting stakeholder requirement? If I host a series of stakeholders to gather input on each stakeholder's priorities, facilitate a requirement alignment workshop to collaboratively resolve conflict and paradigm, develop a consolidated requirement again, circulate it for feedback, consultancy. I think requirement alignment workshop. Let's follow the technique like read the question first and read the responses first and then the question. Prepare a comprehensive handover document and rely on the operational team to review and familiarize themselves with it independently. Delay the final testing phase until the operational team member is fully acclimated to their roles and response. Project scope: assign a dedicated team member to act as a liaison between the project team and the operational team to address any immediate concern. Conduct a series of knowledge transfer sessions to familiarize the operational team with the project's key detail and project. With the project approaching its final testing phase before being handed over to an operational team that was recently expanded with new members unfamiliar with the project details, there is a clear risk to the project successful acceptance and integration. What action should the project manager prioritize to ensure the transition proceeds smoothly? So, Kate is the option. Facilitate a collaborative workshop to align team members on shared goal and clarify the vision. Organize separate meeting with each department to understand their perspective and incorporate all inputs into the object. Develop a draft project vision statement based on existing information and seek feedback. Assign a neutral facilitator to mediate discussions between departments or conflict. Expect, I think, collaborative workshop. In the midst of an agile project, it becomes evident that team members from various departments hold different visions for the project end result. This diversity in expectation is leading to challenges in aligning to the project objective. What should the project manager prioritize to harmonize these perspectives? I think collaborative align team shared goals and clarify the project vision. Sorry. Refer the product owner to the team's Kanban board for real-time updates on task progress and completion status. Schedule a spontaneous sprint review meeting to provide the product owner with the detailed walkthrough of completed and pending users. Consult with the development team. When the product owner expresses a need to assess the completion status of user stories, when the product owner expresses a need to assess the completion status of user stories halfway through a sprint, what should the project manager do to accurately convey this information? Then need to assess the completion status of user story halfway through. Okay. Spontaneous. Okay, no. Spontaneous review meeting is not an option, obviously. For task progress and completion status, Kanban board. Completion status of user stories. Yes. Consult with the development and user sprint burn-down chart. No. Send a comprehensive report summarizing the essential completion. I think first. A product owner requires a visual tool to monitor both the progress and completed work and any scope changes in any ongoing project. They want to understand how much work has been completed relative to the overall scope of the project. What tool should the project manager recommend to meet this need? Sprint burn down chart, sprint burn up chart, Kanban board, cumulative flow diagram. Cumulative flow diagrams. Incorporate the requested addition immediately, reallocating resources to ensure its completion within the sprint. I don't think so. We need to incorporate the changes. Collaborate with the product owner and team to assess the impact of the addition on the sprint and decide if it can be accommodated or deferred. Have the product owner speak to the team to gain approval. Escalate the request to senior manager. In the midst of a sprint, the product owner suggests a significant addition to a user story currently under development, arguing that recent stakeholder feedback deems it essential for their forthcoming release. What course of action should the project manager take to accommodate this request while preserving the sprint's goal and team dynamic? I think we need to collaborate with the product owner and assess the impact. Adjust the project timeline to account for the absence and inform the stakeholder about the updated schedule, proceed with the project as planned, request additional resources from senior management, collaborate with the marketing manager to identify temporary replacement or reassign tasks within team. In the critical phase of a project implementation, a project manager learns from the marketing manager that pivotal member of their team will be absent for the next quarter, putting the project timeliness at risk. What proactive steps should the project manager undertake to address this unforeseen setback? I think collaboration. Facing a high mark, engage with the regulatory expert early to identify potential bottleneck and streamline compliance. Focus on completing the product development first and address regulatory requirement afterward. Require the leadership team to allocate additional resources to fast track both development and compliance and propose a phased release of the product, launching certain features before obtaining full regulatory clearance. Facing a high market demand for a new product, a company is eager to launch. However, the product must first clear necessary regulatory checks, traditionally a time-consuming process. The company's leadership is looking for ways to expedite the product journey from conception to market. What approach should the project manager take to balance rapid market entry with adherence to regulatory standards? Engage with the regulatory expert early to identify potential ones. I think first and third, they both are the the both option looks fine to me. Uh, you can allocate additional cost and both the engagement the regulatory experts early. Let's go with early. Pause the current sprint to include the feature immediately. Collaborate with the product owner prior insert in the product owner for inclusion in the feature sprint. Direct the team to start feature immediately. Escalate the request to senior manager. In the process of enhancing their fleet management system, a logistic company is contemplating the incorporation of a predictive analysis features after initiation into the second sprint, prompted by a strategic request from a top management. This feature aims to evaluate potential operational outcomes based on varying customer demands and future projections. What should the project manager prioritize as a response to this directive? Collaborate with the product owner. In the early stages of a critical governance, select supplier based on recommendation of project sponsor, prioritize supplier with whom the organization has a collect. Conduct a thorough evaluation of all potential using the predefined criteria. In the early stage of critical governance consulting projects, a project manager is faced with the task of selecting supplier from a broad spectrum of candidates. This group include both suppliers with whom the organization is previously engaged and new suppliers suggested by the project sponsor. How should the project manager approach the selection of the supplier to ensure the project success? Conduct the evaluation, risk register, PMP, project charter, and issue log. Uh, Project manager takes over a project facing concerns about its alignment with the global regulatory standards. During an update meeting, the sponsor asks how often project risks are evaluated and managed. Which document should the project manager consult first to provide an accurate response? Uh, Project sponsor, I think risk register, obviously risk register has all the risk and the responses that is required. Proceed with integrating the technology with preparing contingency plans for post implementation support. Explore alternative technologies that have already received approval to mitigate risk and maintain the project schedule. Pause the project until the technology receives formal clearance, ensuring post-implementation support. Collaborate with the sponsor to advocate for expedited approval for the technology. A project unfolds. The project sponsor champions a cutting-edge technology yet to receive official clearance. Nevertheless, a significant obstacle emerges. The organization support division has indicated their readiness to provide post-implementation support is contingent upon the formal approval of this technology. What approach should the project manager adopt to address this challenge? Collaborate. I didn't understand this question, but let's go with the collaboration. A representative from the legal team to address compliance concerns related to the data migration, a member of the customer support team to provide insight into user needs and ensure smooth transition to a financial analyst to verify budgetary allocation for potential migration, and external articles data migration plan tools and technology to optimize technical decisions. During the planning phase of an extensive system migration project with regulated data, the project manager organizes strategic meeting with the key stakeholders, including representatives from the core project team, telecommunication department, and bulk account management. The agenda includes finalizing the project timeline, determining the scope of data migration, whether to direct transfer or new system creation, and defining process methodologies and timeframes. What which additional stakeholders should the project manager include to ensure comprehensive planning? We need legal, obviously, legal department. Schedule a series of one-on-one video calls with each stakeholder together in favor. Organize an asynchronous brainstorming session with online collaboration tool to capture a stakeholder input. Delegate the responsibility and gather project to recently send a comprehensive email. Traditional approach for making initiatives that remain no obstacle in both segments. To collate input from geographically dispersed stakeholders, what steps should the project manager take? Project charter, issue log and risk management and lesson learned register. During the execution phase of a project focused on building a new aquatic research facility, the project team has been alerted to a potential challenge by an operations team. It necessitates formal documentation for future reference and action. Necessitates formal documentation for future reference and action. Challenge. Which document is most suitable for documenting this concern to ensure effective management? Issue log, your risk register. There is a challenge. I think it will be an issue, not the risk. Issue log. Examine the issue log to identify recurring challenges and compile them into a report for the sponsor. Review the risk register, documented risk, their statuses and pattern over time. Prepare a simple finding. Schedule a brainstorming session with the team to identify that might have emerged in the past year. Conduct a retrospective with key stakeholders to gather qualitative insight about risk trends observed during the project. Upon receiving request from the project sponsor for detailed analysis of a risk trend observing during the last year in an agile project environment, what is the project manager's best course of action? Retrospective? No. I think risk register. We should risk trend in the last year in agile. We should go to the risk register and analyze it for patterns. Consult with the compliance team to fully understand the new regulation and its potential impact. At the regulatory change, meet with the key stakeholder to discuss the reg change and collaboratively determine the best course of action. Have a team member perform a detailed impact analysis. Upon discovering that a critical regulation affecting the project execution will change within 6 months, a project manager is faced with determining the most effective way to integrate this new requirement into a high stakes project. Okay, need to consult with the team. Halfway through a crucial, establish a robust risk management plan to identify, monitor potential technical challenges throughout the project. Schedule mid-sprint reviews. No. Conduct regular one-on-one meeting with team lead to identify potential that might not surface in group chatting. Use the project management tool to track the flag potential risk based on timeline deviations. Halfway through a crucial software development project, it has been revealed during a sprint review that an unforeseen technical hurdle could potentially delay the project's completion. This revelation came as a surprise, especially considering the project manager's prior weekly updates indicated that the project was proceeding according to plan. What could have effectively been done differently to avoid being caught off guard by such a critical issue? Establishing a robust risk management plan to identify and monitor potential. I think there was no robust risk management process. Offer monitoring and incentives to team members who agree to work over extended regularly recognize team efforts and celebrate milestones to maintain morale during challenging periods. Reassign tasks to focus on high priority delivery and reduce team workload. Introduce mandatory team building activities to encourage collaboration. While working on a project, the client's request for additional changes threatened to extend the project's timeline significantly. The project manager is exploring options to accelerate the project timeline to accommodate these changes, but there is a concern about the potential for increased overtime for the team. What action should the project manager take to keep the team motivated despite these challenges? Regularly, regularly recognize the team member, I think. Conduct a detailed review of the compliance risk register to understand previously added and their mitigation. Now organize a team workshop to brainstorm new compliance risk during the transition. Schedule a meeting with the regulator to qualify the project's compliance requirement. Reevaluate the project schedule to prioritize tasks related to compliance activities. In the midst of executing a project focused on aligning with stringent industry regulation, the initial project manager departs the organization, prompting the appointment of a new project manager to steer the project forward. Given the critical nature of compliance within the project scope, determining the most effective step to ensure ongoing compliance is essential. What initial action should the incoming project manager? Project manager should take detailed review of compliance. Inform the request that additional finance cannot be accommodated in case stakeholder to reprioritize existing scheduling across the request for additional budget. So we want to prioritize the existing schedule, making room for the new functionality within the current. Inform the request that additional finance cannot be accommodated. Prove the request functionality and inform the team member to adjust the terminal request in the midst of a project execution phase. The project manager is confronted with the request to add additional functionality to the assigned concept scope. This situation poses a significant challenge as the project team is already operating at full level and the budget is tightly constrained with no leeway for adding new members. What course of action should the project manager take to effectively address the incorporation of these new functionalities under given constraints? Engage with the stakeholders या फिर request the sponsor to authorize the additional budget. Request the sponsor to authorize additional budget and resources to address the new scope requirement. I think this should be the answer. Conduct a team building workshop to foster mutual understanding, establish a collaborative, delegate the decision making authority, establish a clear set of project methodology and communicate them to the team, ensuring alignment. Request the executive leadership to intervene and mediate the disagreement within the team. Project manager from the merged entities tasked with leading a project involving mostly employees from the original firm. Early in the project, disagreements emerged due to ambiguous surrounding operational methodology and the project manager's association with the merged company. What steps should the project manager take to address these disagreements? Conduct a team building workshop. During a project planning, present a detailed analysis to the sponsor showing how the feature can be incorporated without significantly affecting the project timeliness. Facilitate a discussion with stakeholders to evaluate the feature's priority, its impact on the MVP, and possible adjustment to the scope. Propose breaking the feature into smaller deliverables that can be prioritized and implemented incrementally after the MVP release. Suggest replacing a lower priority feature from the current MVP scope with the requested feature to maintain balance without extending the timeline. During the project planning, the project manager sponsors requests an additional feature that goes beyond the initially defined scope of a minimum viable product, emphasizing its mountain. While the feature could enhance the project's value, it may also timeline and strain the company's team's capacity. How should the project manager address this request to balance project objective and well-being? I think discussion with the stakeholder. Propose adding the feature to a future project. Immediately adjust the project. Facilitate a meeting with the evaluate the features by and background. Same. I think it is same. Delay the newly desired functionality that was not initially scoped. However, incorporating this feature at this juncture could risk overworking the team or potentially delay the project development from the project handlers without compromising the project schedule or team well-being. Team capacity. During a project schedule, in-depth retrospective to evaluate the root cause of the client dissatisfaction and just future deliver, maintain the current schedule, but provide additional document. With each deliverable, pause for the iteration to redesign the align with the client expectation, engage the client in collaborative planning design to refine the backlog and ensure alignment with the during a project focused on delivering iterative improvements every 2 weeks, feedback from the client and dissatisfaction with the perceived value of the outcome depending on time delivery. How should the project manager address this gap? Engage with the client. I think retrospective meeting to evaluate the project. I think we should collaborate with the client rather than doing a retrospective. I don't know whether it is retrospective. Is it a retrospective meeting with the client or the team? I don't know. Oh God. Halt the construction and immediately start the permit application part to ensure compliance and proceed with construction while starting the permit process, paying the fine. The daily fine the department escalate the issue to the project and recommend that the fine call being negotiate with the ground, understand the permit and continue. During the construction of a new office building, the project manager discovered that the required construction was not obtained, initiating the permit process now will delay the project by 1 month and incur an additional cost of 35,000. However, continuing the move without the program will not take time. Escalate the issue, I guess, because it is something. Explore alternative software to replace the unlicensed software and mitigate the cost and time by continue using the software temporarily. Inform the project's manager of the situation and recommend proceeding with the current software while setting funds to pay the fine. Halt work involving the unlicensed and immediately begin the process of obtaining the necessary license. Project manager is leading a software project. The project manager realized that a critical piece of software needed for the project is not licensed for commercial use, and obtaining the necessary license will delay the project to by 20,000. The fine for using the software without applying is $2,500 per day, which should the prison alternative. I think explore the alternative software option to replace the unlicensed software and mitigate the cost and time impacts. Um, this is the first time I have seen this question for unlicensed thing, so I don't know whether halting the work is a good option or not. If it is, then fine, but I'm not sure of this. How should the project manager continue with the current plan to avoid delay while developing communication and convening a meeting with them and whether they have any planning or some project planning on the goals and determining is all project environmental new plan for project research test the environmental assessment team and within the national measures to ensure sustainability without disrupting project managers in the development of a new eco-friendly transportation system. After conducting environmental impact assessment, it's discovered that project may not be sustainable as initially believed, potentially compromising its environmental benefits. Given this information, the project manager considers the need for a critical reassessment of the project viability. I think convene a meeting. A project manager is coordinating assess the impact of the request on the festival budget schedule and measure and present option to the stakeholder performance while the festival schedule performance additional perform. Add the performer to the lineup with relocating existing resources to absorb the changes. Request that the sponsor provide additional funding to cover the cost. I think assess. Skill music performance. The lead sponsor requires the inclusion of additional performers which were not initially planned. Considering this could affect various aspects of the festival, how should the project manager should assess the impact? Recommend that the client accept the project as is, citing the completed state of the project and lack of contractual obligation. Reopen the project and integrate the feature immediately to maintain client satisfaction. Propose initiating a follow-on project to implement the request. Escalate the issue to senior before A project manager is in the process of closing a technology upgrade project when they require that a specific software feature promised to the client was not implemented. The client is requested that this feature be added if the project is technically complete and the contract did not explicitly cover this scenario. How should the project manager handle this situation to ensure project job implementation because mission did not follow on project to plan the requested feature ensure the proposed initiative not follow. I think escalate the issue to the senior managers. Project manager is managing a large scale agriculture development project during a routine updates. Project manager inadvertently shares sensitive project financial details with an unauthorized partner organization. Okay. Realizing the potential breach of confidentiality, what should the project manager do? Immediately notify the project's owner, legal owner, to assess the potential impact and determine the corrective action. Ignore the breach, send a follow-up that disregard the shared details and refrain from further restrict further access to project financial amount, implement structured communication pipeline without restraint. No, I think you should immediately notify the project sponsor. Facing a project with a tight schedule, vague requirements and a set budget, project manager is standing by the client's minimum availability and the absence of a designated product owner. What is the most effective way for the project manager to plan and execute this project under these going to be appointed project team member with relevant primary liaison or work with the client to develop a lightweight requirement document based on their initial input. Focus on delivering the high priority feature first. Pause the project and then until the client designates a product owner to clarify the requirements fully. I think he should pause the project in this case because client project product owner is not there. There are vague requirement and there is a tight schedule and a set budget. Or he could focus on delivering the high priority feature first using an iterative approach and refine the. I think let's go with the pause. Uh, Prioritize an incremental delivery by focus on delivering a small high value feature first while refining the scope over time. Proceed with assumption and industry best practice to fill in gaps caused by the lack of client engagement. Pause the project until the client assigns a dedicated and the project's own request that the client delegate decision making trust is given to act as the interim product owner. In launching a high-stake project with an ambitious deadline, the undefined scope, and a non-negotiable budget, the project manager is based with the client who gets carefully engaged and has not assigned a direct product owner. What strength should the project manager outline in steering this process? I think pause. Let's just say pause. Conduct a team meeting to identify the source of the error, understand its root cause, issue a corrected version of the documentation to with an explanation, establish a formal review process to verify all project updates before testing and monitor future updates and just processes as needed to ensure. In managing a software development project, project manager discovered that the documentation submitted in the latest project update include reference to software not used in the project. This oversight has caused confusion among stakeholders and could impact the project's credibility. Conduct a team to identify the source and understand its root cause. Conduct a joint requirement clarification workshop with all team members to ensure shared understanding. Provide a written summary of the requirement with additional example and real world case scenarios. Instruct the remote team to refer solely to the original documentation without further discussion. Assign a team lead for the remote team to communicate that. Delay further work until all team members confirm their understanding through individual response. In a software development project with the team distributed across different countries, misunderstandings have emerged regarding project requirements. While the main office team considers the requirement clear, remote team members find them ambiguous, causing discrepancies in the work output. But two actions should the project manager take to align the team's understanding of the project requirement. Conduct a joint requirement clarification workshop. Provide a written summary of the requirement with additional examples. As an Assign the more complex tasks to most experienced and the iteration timeline to accommodate the completion of all pending tasks. Company the meeting with the project and to implement an on-time policy. As an iteration draws to a close, the project team encounters difficult in finishing tasks that demand more time than anticipated. The first time the project should take purpose convene a meeting to effective proceed with the project strategy as planned, escalate with the stakeholder, share detailed project documentation with stakeholder and ask for all the written. Schedule a one-on-one meeting with the stakeholder to listen to their concerns, clarify the project strategic objective. A project manager is overseeing a pivotal project scheme that redefines organization strategic direction in response to market shift. However, key stakeholders from the finance department have expressed opposition to the project's current strategy to effectively address and manage stakeholders' apprehensions. Which of the following steps should the project manager prioritize? Reassign the unresolved task to another team with the greater expertise to ensure timely delivery, escalate the issue to the project founder, organize focus problem solving session with the technician team to analyze the root cause and explore the viable solution, extend the project timeline. I think this problem solution. During the execution phase of the software development project, the team encounters a persistent technical challenge that jeopardizes the scheduled delivery of key functionality despite continuous efforts for weeks, indicating a potential delay. I'm taking a break of 5 minutes. I'll be back. I just need to refresh myself. Uh, it's close to 60 question and I'm tired to be honest. I'm back. Let's start. I have a cup of tea. Now I'm feeling more refreshed. Um, 23 questions left. Let's go. 22, 23, whatever. Do you organize a follow up meeting with specifically for the absent stakeholder to gather their feedback? Proceed with the current plan to avoid further delay. Escalate the issue to the project span. Distribute detailed meeting minutes to all stakeholders and request their written feedback to address concerns. I think this should be the answer. During a pivotal project phase, it was revealed that critical stakeholder did not attend a meeting focused on confirming the project strategic alignment and expected business benefit, resulting in the feedback being overlooked. This oversight has led to conflict within the decision making. What should the project manager? I think he should organize a follow up meeting. uh, Reassign the team member task to other team without discussing their impending resignation. Accelerate the project timeline to ensure the critical tasks are completed. Work with the team member to develop a transition plan that prioritizes knowledge transfer and task handover. I think this escalate the issue. During the crucial phase of the project, a pivotal team member informs the project manager of their impending resignation, intending to submit their notice to their line manager soon. This revelation comes at a time when their contribution is critical to meeting the turnaround plan. Hmm. Use smaller, consistent time unit to improve task estimation accuracy and track now. Prioritize the task estimated at 200 point. Address the most significant workload early in the phase. Implement daily status update to monitor the effort spent on all tasks more closely. Deny the team ability to use this form of estimation. Okay. In a software development project, as a team moves into the development phase, they decide to utilize time tracking to estimate effort, with 1 hour of effort equaling 1 point. Some tasks are estimated at 5 points, while others extend up to 200 points. Okay. To enhance the project's efficiency and improve accuracy in scheduling, what should the project manager encourage the team to do early in the phase? Hmm. Okay. Prioritize the task estimated at 200 points to address the most significant workload early in the phase. I think it is saying that efficiency and accuracy and improving the accuracy in scheduling. Use a smaller consistent time unit to improve task estimation. Although this 200 points thing is it also looks fine, and implement daily status update to monitor the effort spent on all tasks more. Let it be. In an organization, split the developer's time equally between the two projects. Allocate the developer efforts entirely to the project with the closest deadline. Assign the developer full time to the waterfall project, as delays in sequential phases would have a significant impact. Conduct a joint meeting with both project manager and developer to discuss priorities. In an organization, two project managers are managing distinct initiatives that require the expertise of the same high performance software developer. One project is following a traditional waterfall model, while the other is utilizing a scrum frame. What should the project manager do in this situation? I think joint meeting is a solution. Schedule an additional planning session, especially focused on logistical challenges. Assign a dedicated team member to identify No, prioritize the logistical challenge based on the potential impact on the event. Increase the frequency of teaming. Ensure no regular updates to challenges. During a large scale event planning project, the project manager notices a growing list of logistical challenges reported by various team members. Although these challenges have been acknowledged in team meeting, few have been effectively resolved, leading to potential risk for event success. Prioritize the challenges based on their potential impact. Conduct a stakeholder to tailor communication content and format to individual person. As the frequency of email, to limit information overload, assign technical lead to rewrite email, update first check on schedule a meeting to explain the importance of the existing email format and content. During the execution phase of urban development project, the project manager uses email updates to keep all stakeholders informed. Feedback indicates that some stakeholders find the information either too technical or too general. Ensure the project manager do the address this now, but stakeholder analysis and tailor the communication. Request additional resources to accelerate the progress and meet the deployment time and extend the timeline. Increase the frequency of status update. Conduct a root cause analysis with the project team to identify the source of the delay and develop mitigation strategies. During the deployment phase of a new communication network, the project manager encounters significant delay to identify and mitigate. This is not action should be taken. Extend working hours, implement fast tracking to overlap tasks by monitoring risks and resources impact, prioritize the critical components. By postponing the non-urgent, inform the stakeholder that the timeline cannot be fixed without compromising the quality. In a large-scale urban redevelopment project, as key stakeholders request delivery of a critical infrastructure component 2 weeks early for an upcoming international event. The project manager determines the schedule can be accelerated by developing certain processes. What should the project manager do to implement a fast tracking overlap task while monitoring risk and resource impacts? Fast tracking. Extend the working hours is not a solution to inform the stakeholder this is not the implement plan, prioritize the critical component. There are two options. Here's the project manager saying the schedule can be accelerated by overlapping certain processes. I think let's prioritize the critical component first and then the non-urgent project activities. Monitor development output weekly and record individual contributions for leader review. Collaborate with the team to define clear, measurable performance criteria aligned with project goals. Set up regular one-on-one session with the developer to discuss the progress and deliver performance evaluation tool to automatically track hours worked and completed tasks. At the outset of a software development project, the project manager is tasked with devising a strategy for assessing the contribution of these assessments are to be compiled and presented to the organization. He should collaborate with the team to define the clear, measurable performance criteria aligned with project goals. At the beginning of a new environment conservation project, collaborate with the stakeholder to review the project exact objectives, assumptions, and budget constraints. Ensure the project team will address the concern later, allocate the additional budget, remove the stakeholder. At the beginning of a new environment project, a key stakeholder expresses concern over the project's approach, fearing it won't meet the intended environmental impact goal and will exceed the initially forecasted budget. How should the project manager? We should collaborate with him for the objectives and assumptions and budget constraints. Okay. Reallocate resources from the software implementation phase to expedite the hardware upgrade, push the technical team to work overtime, ignore the delay for now and proceed with software implement, conduct a detailed impact assessment. In the midst of implementing a new healthcare IT system, a project manager faces a challenge. The initial phase involving the upgrade of existing hardware is behind schedule, impacting the subsequent software management phase due to sheer technicality and what course of actual to I should do the impact analysis. Proceed with designing to while documenting environmental concerns for future request a third party express to assess the data and provide an impartial recommendation. Facilitate a joint session with the design team and environmental to analyze the data and explore trade-off and develop a balanced solution temporarily hold the term. At the midpoint of a renewable energy project, the project manager must resolve a conflict between the design team advocating for optimal turbine placement and environmental concerns, warning of ecological disruption. How to hold? Obviously, a joint session. Collaborate with the finance team to create alternative economic scenarios and evaluate their potential impact on the project outcome. Conducting a meeting with the executive to clarify the rationale behind the request and determine the specific scenarios they want to analyze. Proceed with the existing financial forecast but document the executive suggestion. Request approval for additional time and resources to explore economic scenarios before making adjustment to the forecast. After presenting a financial forecast for a new product launch, an executive suggests incorporating alternative economic scenarios to provide a more comprehensive risk analysis. Analysis by something not analyzed. I think I think conduct a meeting with the exec to clarify the rationale. Uh, what is the most effective initial? It establish a time box agenda for meetings and clearly communicate objective and expectation and allow the team the discussion topic beforehand to ensure inclusivity, increase the frequency of meeting, implement a rule limiting participation to the at the outset of an urban regeneration project, the project manager observes that all the team morale is high, meetings often diverge into some related causing them to time box agenda, obviously. Reduce the number of feedback sessions, allow team to exchange feedback anonymously, limit feedback, establish structured feedback guidelines that emphasize constructive and additional input. During the rollout of a digital marketing campaign, concerns arise that feedback sessions between project teams are creating tension due to overly critical components. Establish structured feedback guidelines, I guess. Propose that team members split their time between on-site and remote. Allow collaboration. Conduct a team survey to gather feedback on working preference. Agree the sponsor requires the virtual round of the need for on-site work, eliminating communication with the sponsor. At the beginning of a new urban development project, the lead sponsor proposed that all project managers and team managers should work on the project site to foster better communication among everything and face long commutes and there is a shortage of available space. Virtual collaboration tools. Assign a regional team lead in each time zone and then that all team members work during the same core hours. Establish a detailed communication management of a time zone management by now. Perfect communication. For an international environmental research project, the project manager struggles to coordinate a geographically dispersed team across multiple continents. Challenges including language barrier, verifying the time zone, average time, and unique expertise being critical to the project's emotional collaborate. Detailed communication management plan that addresses time zones, language barriers, and this. the landowner. Given the client's strict requirement for maintaining high environmental standards on a green technology development project, the project manager is asked to present solid strategies to ensure these standards are constantly met. Watch 3 actions should the project manager define environmental sustainability goal clearly in the project initiation document. Organize regular training session on environmental standard for all project team members during schedule periodic environmental audit throughout the project, research and implement environmental monitoring system to analyze potential environmental mitigation scenario in the planning phase. Convene a meeting to align the team member on the importance of updating progress in the software and ensure expectations are being rely on verbal updates from the daily check-ins to maintain simultaneous management schedule additional daily check-ins. Team fully gets to know using the new software for as a project team shifts to using a new project management software for tracking the engineering project, the phenomenon between discrepancy between the positive progress reports and daily check-ins and actual updates in the software should the project manager convey and action remind the team. Reduce the cleanup effort to free up funds for the plan landscape management, request additional funding, extend the project management to the account through provision. Allocated by essential landscaping and different non-critical. During the municipal park renovation, following environmental cleanup costs leave the budget insufficient for planned landscape enhancement. At a fixed deadline and experienced team, what should the project manager do first? Additional funding. The project manager prioritized cost and schedule over quality and customer expectation. The lead designer did not communicate concern early in the design phase. The project scope lines focus on business value and market demand and superior and great product. After completing the design phase of a product development project, the project manager reports alignment with the time budget and design background. While the lead designer raises concern over old market competitiveness and customer experience improvement. The engineer did not communicate concern earlier in the design phase. Submit all completed work to the project manager, including tasks not aligned in the request compensation retroactively. Propose a formal change request to include any additional terms outside the original agreement before beginning new work. Log all work performed regardless of land work. The project liaison request an urgent meeting with the client to renegotiate the initial and as well. To minimize additional costs associated with the freelance content creation team for a digital marketing project, the project manager announces that only work outlined in the initial agreement will be compensated. How? The content team and project liaison ensure they are fully paid for. Propose a formal change request to include additional outside the original agreement before beginning. Develop a comprehensive risk mitigation plan with input from the IT director focusing on security measures and control protocols for cloud-based system. Assure the IT director that cloud solutions are widely adopted and secure, encouraging them to trust the process without further concern. Delay the cloud migration until IT director fully comfortable, ensuring no transition happen without complete consent. Assign an external consultant to explain the benefits of cloud system. As a part of strategic shift towards a more agile and flexible IT infrastructure, our company is moving its data management system to cloud-based solutions. The IT director, who is the key to this struggle, has expressed worries about data security and the potential loss of control. Developer
पर अगर अगर ओपन हाउस है जैसे है ना, तो ओपन हाउस के लिए भी प्रोडक्शन कर दो आप,
with input from the
वो
information security
प्रोडक्शन भी तो
management.
सेम इसी तरह प्लान होती होगी।
Let's see what will
है
be
ना,
the
ये भी चीज आप देखते होंगे कि कितना, आपको पता होता है कि कितना उसके लिए इसमें भी ऊपर नीचे होता होगा
result
इन्वेस्टमेंट।
of this. I'm really
क्या पता नहीं
extremely tired. Oh my god. It's, I can understand why people fail in PMP. It's just lack of concentration and the concept, the the conceptual base of the exam is very broad. It's extremely broad. 180 questions. So time consuming and so boring.
तो बेसिकली उसमें भी
Let's
आपको
see
देखना
how
होता है कि
much
कितना टोटल
I
प्रोड्यूस
got.
करना है। भाई जैसे मान ले कि ये फॉर्मूला है, क्या है जो
58
50 फॉर 50
out
परसेंट
of
इसके लिए
80.
बाहर लगेगा,
So
है ना,
that
उसके
is
ऑर्गेनाइजेशन के लिए नहीं है, फॉर एग्जाम्पल 50%
calculator.
लगेगा।
So
मैंने एक दूसरा मतलब मैंने
58
दूसरा एक
divided
बताया
by
था उसमें,
80
जैसे मैंने आपको ऊपर दिखाया था ना कि
is
मान लो कि आपको दिखाना है कि
72%. Oh my god,
ये अलग का बताता हूँ कि ये
72%
बन
is
जाएगा,
not good.
50% ये बन जाऊंगा एटलीस्ट, ये आपको ये बताना है कि
72.5,
है चीजें ठीक है,
but it's
या
fine.
चीजें इसको भी चेंज करनी है, राइट।
Let's go to the feedback
उससे
report. I know
उससे
one two
मतलब याद हो जाएगा कि
questions
मैंने
that I
वो
did
पहले नहीं
wrong,
किया था मैंने।
but
जैसे
still.
ये आप बता रहे हो ना कि प्लानिंग का टूल होना चाहिए, तो उसमें प्लानिंग आप किस तरह इंट्रोड्यूस करोगे,
If
मतलब
I
कि
would
आप
have,
बाकी का डेटा उसमें लोड करो या
I got
मतलब
80
वो
yesterday
ऑटोमेटिकली लोड हो जाए।
and 58 now. 80 plus 58 is equal to 138 divided by 180, which is 77%, which is good, I guess. Hopefully.
वो चीजें समझ मतलब बातें होती हैं, पता होता है कि लेकिन वो ऊपर से पता होती हैं, वो फील में ना अंदर की बात कि भाई हाँ कहाँ पे फार्मूला फंसता है वो सब नहीं पता होता है कई बार, तो वो उस तरीके का कुछ होता है।
61.
सही बात है, वही तो, दिन रात बैठ के उसी काम को कर रहे हो वही भगाता है ना। पर्पस यही है कि
Yes.
मैनुअल काम थोड़ा कम हो,
Mm,
प्लानिंग थोड़ी
mm,
बढ़े,
mm.
है ना,
101,
और
101, 101.
अभी किस स्टेज में है, अभी तो
96,
कम होगा,
97, 98,
तो
99,
वही
and
वाला जो
101.
बात
Okay,
होती है
so this question is
कि
correct.
कल की
101,
कस्टमर का जो
102 is also correct. This
रिक्वायरमेंट कैसे आती
cost
है,
benefit analysis, CBA.
लेकिन
Okay,
बात यहाँ पे
I
समझने की बात
was confused in this.
इसकी
I
और भी
didn't
जांच होती
understand the
है,
question to be honest. Which financial
क्योंकि
issue the
काफी
project manager highlight to perspective the project fiscal benefits. Okay, it says like cost benefit analysis. Obviously, the best like how will I? Okay. Cost benefit is the most effective financial method of articulating the fiscal benefits of the project to the board of trustees. It provides a structured comparison of the projected cost versus the anticipated benefits, helping stakeholder understand the project value in terms of financial and social impact. This is particularly relevant for a charitable organization to provide both economic feasibility and community benefit. Focuses only on remaining cost of the project and does not depend on overall financial commercial venture rather than a charitable initiative with only useful for financial metric that meaningfully capture the non-financial benefits of it. Cost benefit and like perspective. Okay. I think initiate negotiation with the international when a project encounters vendor-related disruption, the project manager must identify alternatives to maintain progress. Okay. Engaging with international vendors ensure that necessary technology remains available while proactively managing logistical factors such as shipping delays, compliance requirements, and project location. This approach helps keep the project on schedule while mitigating the risk. Either options are less effective, delaying the project timeline until global vendors. This will not influence may slow decision making and delay action. Okay. Reducing the project scope to exclude no by negotiating with international addressing logistical consideration of the necessary technology is procured and just in the project content, right? Okay, provide check-ins ensuring the technical security designing post-merger systems, crucial for a smooth transition. Comprehensive training to provide the necessary knowledge. Okay, got it. Collaborate with user project owners, further management for transitional planner. Okay, okay, right. Performing were requested impact analysis, participative leadership. What is this? Tensions, decision making. Okay, because there is conflict arising, so we have to be open dialogue, team members from both the parties contribute. This fosters collaboration, ensure the emotion is smooth flows that line. Okay. Consult with the developer and use this big picture to explore the product and status of this instrument. The key is to that is which drive the operation process providing additional stream Avoid construction violate legal and regulatory requirements, exposing the project to significant, including fine, legal action, potential shutdown. The best course of action is to pause the construction and initiate the permit application. Similarly, using unlicensed on violate legal and ethical standards and can lead to significant financial and legal cost beyond just the daily fine. The best course of action is to stop using the unlicensed software and immediately begin to the license. Sorry, it prevent legal action, reputational damage. Okay, right. When there is an unlicensed thing, halt the process. Yeah, I was not sure of it. Propose initiating a follow-on project to implement the requested feature. Yeah, I selected this particular. Right. Since the project is in closure phase and the requested feature was not part of the original contractual application, reopening the project would be inefficient and could create a scope management issue. Instead, propose a follow-on project allows for proper planning, budgeting, and resource allocation while ensuring client satisfaction. This approach also maintains transparency and scan the project. This is reopening the project, escalating the issue as the best course of action is to treat the request as a new project or enhancement rather than trying to fit it to an existing project. Okay. Okay. Work with the client to develop a lightweight requirement. When working with vague requirement, minimal client activity, the best approach is to document initial input and establish a process for periodic validation. Creating a lightweight requirement document allows the project to move forward with a structured framework while remaining flexible for future adjustment. This approach ensures that the team has clear direction without waiting indefinitely for client availability, helping to keep the project on track within the tight schedule and budget. Shit, why I'm just selecting pause and pause everywhere. In launching high-stake project with an ambiguous deadline, undefined and non-negotiable budget, the project is faced with a client who can scarcely has not assigned.
बस बता सकें। आपके पास है कोई जो पहले जो आपने एक्सपीरियंस लिखे हैं? मुझे एक बार ये
Delegate
रिगार्डिंग थोड़ा
decision
सा।
to a trusted friend to act as an interim.
क्योंकि मैंने
A
अपनी
high stake different
मैंने
with
अपनी
an
जो
ambiguous
अपडेटेड
time
वर्जन थी
undefined
उसमें
and
तो ये चीज़ है।
ensure
मेनली
non-availability.
स्टार्ट
Since the
करते हैं।
client has limited availability and not design product, delegating decision making about what the project can move forward efficiently. This approach will
उसने
mitigate
भी
the risk
उसने अपनी
misaligned
वो
direction
रिगार्डिंग
in
लिखी
this.
थी
Okay.
और फिर मैंने एक बार और उससे पूछा, है ना? तो वो ये कह रहे थे एक्नॉलेजमेंट स्लिप एक ही होती है, बाकी जो कॉम्पिटिशनल शीट है जो वो वो होती है 3 पेज की।
Fast tracking. I
तो ये
selected this.
अपडेट तो थी वो, बट
Initial
ये नहीं था।
implement all time while monitoring this and while
वो तो
stable
ठीक है,
references
पर
and
अगर आपको
understanding the best is to
कॉम्पिटिशनल शीट
use the
मिली थी
fast
ना
and which involve overlapping
3 पेज वाली,
certain project line to shorten the schedule without changing the scope. This method allows the team to
नहीं
reduce the
हुआ था
timeline
मतलब मैंने तो
while
सोचा था
maintaining
आप
quality
ऐसे करेंगे।
provided and that risk and resources impact my calculation faster and proven
नहीं नहीं, कोई कोई
schedule
बात नहीं,
comparison technique
ठीक है।
that can help manage the stakeholder
ये
without
पूछा मैं
problem.
आपसे। अभी
Conduct a team survey to gather feedback on working plan, present a data-driven compromise to the okay. Before making a decision about on-site, the project manager should gather feedback from team to
एक
understand
मैंने
their
आपको
plan and
भेजा
present a balanced data-driven
कंसिस्टेंसी
compromise.
क्राइटेरिया
This approach
एबीसी,
ensures that both productivity and
वही है
team
बस ऐसा नहीं है।
well-being are considered while addressing this approach,
वो ऐसे करना चाहते
communicating
हो
challenges and limited
ये
office space, a
ये
data-backed
जो
proposal, responsible and practical solutions. Okay.
मोहम्मद
Define environmental
नहीं
schedule
होगा वो
periodic
सबकी जरूरत नहीं है।
launches analyze the potential.
बस यही है। उसके ऊपर भी मैंने रिसर्च करी, मैंने लिखने वाला हूँ
With a
कुछ
fixed
इसका।
deadline budget constraint due to unforeseen environmental fund, the members prioritize and amount ensure that the deadline and the availability of long for potential future improvement and critical acceptable.
वैसे जो ये कलेक्शन, खैर इसके ऊपर बाद में बात करेंगे, अभी आप पहले ये देख लीजिए काम वाली चीज। मामा मैंने आपको कल ना आपको मैंने बहुत सारी चीजें भेजी थी उसमें से, मैं दोबारा भेज रहा हूँ आपको।
Okay, that's all. So, what is my takeaway? That if there is an unlicensed thing,
मामा वो मैंने कल
then we
लिख के
need to
आपको चीजें
pause
दिखा दी
the
थी।
project. This is my takeaway, and there are obviously others, but this is the main because I did two questions back to back wrong on this.